Mountain Animal Shelter has failed a state inspection for the third time since opening. That was back in January. Now animal advocates are worried the shelter is doing more harm than good. News 13's Ingrid Allstedt's live from our Rutherford News Center. When was this latest inspection, Ingrid?
Larry, the latest one was on May 14th, and I have that inspection right here at the top. It reads disapproved in red, and throughout this whole thing, it lists a number of issues that need to be addressed. The shelter says that the most challenging in this inspection is the low ratio of volunteers to pets. What once housed shiny cars is now the new home for hundreds of animals in Marion. Since January, NCAO has contracted with the county to be the new McDowell County Animal Shelter.
I think it's great that we finally have one that, we can take our dogs to, and we know that they'll find good homes and they won't be dead in 3 days like at the animal control.
But the shelter has failed every inspection since opening its doors. Volunteers blame their lack of experience in running a shelter and the building being old and in need of repairs.
Well, our isolation unit's not acceptable. Veterinary care.
The latest inspection report listing things from cross-contamination as an ongoing issue to poor record keeping. But Carol Farabee with the shelter says it's due to the low number of volunteers, saying it's too much to handle with low numbers.
But we need more involvement from the community and from the other rescue organizations.
But some animal advocates say support for the shelter has dwindled as the shelter continues to fail inspections.
The problem is that animals are becoming sick once they have been in the shelter. And what that's telling us is that there's a problem with the sanitation practices at the shelter.
The shelter says they have a 52% adoption rate. The county, which oversees euthanizing the animals, says about 118 animals a month are being euthanized. Animals, the shelter says, who are ill, and the shelter can't afford the medical expenses.
And we'll take all of our sick or injured animals that we feel are suffering and we cannot cure them without going to a vet and running up a large bill.
Jerry Aldridge says the shelter is doing more harm than good and conditions need to change.
They're in trouble, but animals are dying because of that.
And the shelter has euthanized about 450 to 500 animals since January, but that's similar numbers to when the county ran the shelter last year. And the shelter also received a civil penalty on May 15th due to the conditions there at the shelter. And I did speak to the McDowell County manager, Chuck Abernathy, and he told me that they are concerned over these inspections, but they want to continue to work with the shelter. In Rutherford County, Ingrid Allstedt, News 13.